Welcome to the On My Way to Church podcast. I'm your host tonight, Jack. Appreciate everyone for joining me. Appreciate all the followers and all the listeners. Got another interesting show tonight. Waiting for my guests to come through so we can get the show started. Hope everyone had a great week and also a great upcoming weekend. Got my first guest that just came through. DeUce.
Yo, what's going on with you?
What's going on, DeUce?
Ain't too much. Okay, there you go. I had an echo. I'm good, man.
All right. CW's in. CW, what's going on, bro?
Nothing much, brother. Nothing much.
Yes, sir. So just to make an introduction of the show, us three, we all from the DMV area.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And ever so often when that subject comes up, it always leads up to a bunch of ignorance, just a bunch of, you never walk away learning anything to better you as a person, as a man, especially.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, because from my experience, just coming up to DC, Maryland, Virginia was completely different. And now, as we get older, they have a term. So some people kind of naturally look at that as like they say, Bama. It's not cool, it's not hip. You know what I mean? But now it's to the point, out of state people are saying it, so it's on the news. It's a popular term. So I mean, it's morphed now over the years. If you ask me, it's not really quite the same. But some people still keep that same stigma about the term. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I mean, for me and just my experience, man, I've been in pretty much every single corner of this region, and from VA Beach to DC, obviously, all the way up to Baltimore. Although Baltimore is kind of fringe, but the thing is, man, people have to realize that ultimately we have so many luxuries here in regards to our socioeconomic opportunities. This is obviously one of the most consistent locations in all of America as far as employment is concerned, because this is the heartbeat of America's political juggernaut. But then the flip side is, we got about 350,000 college students in a of those graduates.
Yeah, CW, you just broke up for a minute. You just went silent. So I want to make sure everybody's hearing what you're saying.
About that. Yeah, sorry about that. Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, unmute your mic.
All right, can y'all hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so I wasn't really saying nothing major. It's just, people got to realize one of the reasons why this region is kind of so notorious is because we have so much socioeconomic opportunity here. We have crossovers of industries ranging from military to law enforcement to IT to, and then on top of that, we have a very eclectic and a very open entertainment angle as well. There was a period in the early 2000s when DC was arguably one of the dopest spots on the East Coast to party. New York had a high crime rate. Philly's obviously trash. Nobody's dealing with Baltimore. So you had a lot of people coming from that New York, Philly, and New Jersey coming down here to party in what we had as mega clubs. And something else you got to think about. DC is kind of like a microcosm of the entire United States. So a lot of the things that you see that are either like test piloted, or a lot of the things that you see that are kind of like, new and fresh in some community in any state in America, the odds of that being legalized or tried out or incepted here in the DC region is huge. You look at the mega club concept, the very first mega club on the East Coast, and I believe, don't quote me, but I believe in the United States of America, was right here in D.C. You look at the legalization of recreational marijuana, Amsterdam, as you see the women's rights and women's equality initiative and agenda getting pushed, you're also seeing the sex worker agenda getting promoted as well. So it's only a matter of time before DC is truly kind of like the American Amsterdam. But again, growing up here, man, we had everything. It's a very unique scenario. There's a lot of very high IQ people here. There's a lot of high value people here. And that's something that you can take pride in. And one of the things that separates us is that you don't necessarily get the luxury of having just so much creativity in so many different colors and so many generalized liberties that can be experienced. You got cops that do certain things and behave a certain way, but one of the things I always say when a cop gives me a hard time, like, this is DC. Are you sure you want to do that? Like, because you don't know who the hell you're talking to in D.C. I could be dressed up like a complete bum, but be the son of an ambassador. So, it's a wonderful place, man. And, I'll go ahead and I'll mute out and I'll listen.
Yeah, now DC is definitely a plethora of different opportunities and different angles, different groups of thought. You know what I mean? One thing I was saying offline to my man Black, I always took a liking to the term when I first heard it, even though, like I said earlier, it seemed kind of cliche or weird or bam or uncool, unhip, whatever you want to say. But I always liked the term because I've moved around. I've gotten sold products with my different businesses. I've done played piano in churches. I've had different interactions with different friends in probably every different quadrant of the DC area, metropolitan area, but even up to Baltimore. Even at points I've traveled to West Virginia, even slightly. I mean, it's just so many different. Like you can feel like you're in a different state right here in Maryland. I mean, just in Maryland alone, sometimes in different spots.
All right. So can everybody hear me?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. So let me officially introduce the show, right? And I love the introduction. I love the introduction, how, everyone introduced the DMV area. So first and foremost, I know DeUce, you're from PG.
Yes, sir, Fort Washington.
Yes, sir. And CW, you're gonna be representing the DC side today.
South side, Southeast, baby. I'm a Southeast baby, but I grew up in Oxnard, Fort Washington as well. But I'm definitely a Southeast baby. Went to school in Northwest.
Now, because he grabbed my attention with that T.C. Williams. You know CW. I believe you said you went to you came from the VA area, Black. You said you went. I heard you say you went to T.C. Williams as well. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start off with you, CW. Start from DC, and just like I said, we got to make it brief because of obviously because of time. CW, I'm gonna start off with you since you represent DC. If you, just for a brief moment, can you just explain to the listeners what was your upbringing like coming from DC?
Sure. So we moved out of DC originally when I was, I believe, around 5 or 6. But I came back to DC in 96 to 2000. And then I went to college. So, man, I mean, just, you got to understand, and please don't get me wrong. I got to say this, the majority of my time that I spent in DC was in the Southeast, was, over there off 6 or, what I'm saying? Just basically, that was that was like home for me. I had a lot of friends over there, Livingston, all that. And, I used to party like crazy in the city though. So, just to kind of make it just super quick, one thing people got to realize is Howard University is in the city. So when you have 11, 15,000 strangers, young people that bring their ideas and their culture and their swag to, up in Northwest, and they want to go hit the party, they want to go, H2O was cracking. I don't even know what angle you want me to take, but the angle that I'd love to go to would be the partying. And being in this industry now as entertainment production specialists, engineers, technicians, coordinators, and management, it's crazy to now see all of the bits and pieces that went into the party scene in DC. The U Streets, the waterfront. Now we got the wharf, and just to see how it's grown and grown, and now we have the Embler Zone of rooftops everywhere. So DC was sweet, man. You know, like I remember when Surfsome Quarters was Surfsome Quarters. I remember when Barry Farms was Barry Farms. And one of the crazy things is to look at it in third person and see how the city has not only gentrified, but how it's kind of turned into a modern looking city with the aesthetic of the new buildings, the aesthetic of the new downtowns and things like that. But, we really didn't have all that. So, there was a lot more community. There was a lot more like connectivity. And that's something that I definitely remember. And obviously being a Gonzaga dude, we used to scrimmage T.C. Williams and spank y'all because we had to do WCNC.
Not on this platform.
No, we had to not
on this platform.
Excuse me. I believe I had something stuck in my throat. Okay. Yeah. But look, man. I mean, seriously. You gotta understand, man. Just being in the city on a regular basis, Monday through Friday, man, Monday through, Saturday, Sunday, weekends, you gotta understand, like, it was so vibrant. There was always something going on. And, one of the things that does kind of strike a nerve a little bit is that, it used to be Chocolate City, you know what I mean? So, you really had a town where you were able to see yourself in the good, the positive, and a lot of the negative light, unfortunately. But then when you saw the gentrification come in like 07 to 08, and you're just hanging out on 5th and 8th Street, hanging out at your boy's house, and you see, two white booty shorts jogging past you, and you're like, wait a minute. And then you're out Anacostia just cooling out on Good Hope with your folks, and you see two white booty cheeks jogging by you. You're like, hold on, wait a minute. They don't even know where they at. And then you fast forward to 2024, you barely see us. That's changed. That's different. But what ended up happening was that started expanding the urbanization of the reliance on the Alexandrias, the Arlingtons, the PG counties, and the Mo counties. And it started making more of a economic and more of a social reliance on the outskirts, which is also super cool. And you got to think, you can date an East African woman that lives right off of over there by that Porsche dealership off Route 1 in Alexandria, and you can live in Mo County. Or you can date a chick in Mo County and you can live here in Fort Washington. Or you can live in Northwest and you can date a chick that's in Woodbridge or Annapolis or whatever have you. So, like, the beautiful thing about our region is that we have so many different flavors and different outlets of just ideas, of partying, of social activity, of economic engagement. You just gotta love it. Like, and what I will say in closing, DC is one of the most dangerous places for an African American male millionaire. And the reason is because you come here, you are going to be engaged upon the most beautiful, the most intellectual, and in many regards, sometimes the most successful sisters on this planet in every color: black, white, Asian, Filipino, orange, tan, teal, blue, purple, whatever. And they're all over the place. So it's a very, very unique place for you to be successful. And it's a unique place for you to just, live a good life and definitely raise families, et cetera, et cetera.
All right. So we're going to slide down on the Maryland side. DeUce, just briefly, give us a little background about your upbringing. How was it, for you growing up in PG County?
Well, for me, I'm a PG County boy, Maryland raised, Fort Wash born and raised. If you look at my tag, if people are on the Podbean, it says Mr. 40 Watt. That's actually a play on words on Fort Washington, just, show how much I'm rooted in this area. And, it's just a different type of area. Like, I'm not sure even they keep talking about the music or my little thing, but I called it 40 Watt because, like, I noticed Fort Washington was like right next to Southeast growing up over there. So it's like you see $1 million homes. You might also see murderers right there in Fort Washington because you're like 5-10 minutes from the D.C. line. You might see, doctors. You might also see homeless people. So it's such a strong spectrum. Even me, like, growing up, they had the Maryland Bama thing. If you're from Maryland, you're a measy. They would say you're Measy, people that don't know from here, it would mean you're Maryland, you're trying to be DC. So Measy, like DC and Maryland trying to be, but I mean, now they don't even say that no more. It's to piggyback back off what CW was saying. It's like everything is like, it's more so becoming a DMV because everything is we use each other's resources, and even if people don't want to believe that we're connected in whatever way they look at it, I mean, everybody, I mean, if you live in Fort Washington, you got a grandmother in Northeast. If you live in Northeast, you got an uncle in Waldorf. You know what I mean? It's like, it's like 3 degrees of separation. It's a small city. You know what I mean? It's a lot of people in the city, but it's a small city. And what I found out even recently, it was funny because I was doing deliveries around the whole DMV area with my brother CW for a little brief period, and I realized that looking at the map, Fort Washington itself is like bigger than the entire city of DC. And I never knew that my whole life. And I was like, well, that's crazy. It's so many different things, that's nooks and crannies you don't know. Like back in the day, even Fort Washington had some historic stuff because that was the fort of Washington back when, they were doing the, wars of early American stuff, so it's a lot of rich culture here, but it's just a different type of area. You got to, some people hate it, some people love it, but it is what it is.
Yes, sir. And, let me introduce, the best side, which is the V area, Virginia. You know what I'm saying? CW, I already know CW over there hating on the slide, but we gonna talk about VA, Alexander, Virginia. I'm
Absolutely
representing.
not, brother.
Yeah,
Y'all got all the East African
nah.
women. Y'all
So,
got the East African woman. Y'all got more East African women, and then East African women be falling out of the trees, and then you can
hey,
pluck an
look.
East African woman. Nah, y'all got it, bro. Y'all got it.
Yeah, like they always, I can speak from PG County, like Largo and Waldorf, that's St. Charles, but like yeah, Alexandria, Arlington, Spanish what? Like y'all got the women, man. Like people don't like to go over there because the police are tight on the
All
laws,
the
but people
baddies.
scared to go over
Yeah,
there. Like people scared to go to the
All
police.
the
People
baddies.
scared of the police out there,
but
man.
yeah,
So
but
many baddies.
I would say this. I come from Alexander, Virginia, and I have to make sure that I put the emphasis on the city because there's an Alexandria County and there's the city of Alexandria. I'm from the
Wait,
city
whoa,
of
whoa, wait, whoa,
Alexandria.
whoa, brother.
Wow.
Whoa, brother, hold on, brother. Wait a
Yeah,
minute. There
yeah,
ain't no
yeah.
Alexandria County. It's just Alexandria City.
No. See,
It's
you see, here you go. That's where you wrong, right?
no.
Yeah, there is a city of Alexandria, right? The city of Alexandria, we only have one high school. It's called T.C. Williams High School, right?
Facts.
And then you go to Alexandria County, that part of Alexandria is owned by Fairfax County, which is Richmond High, which y'all know is Richmond Highway. So
Okay. Okay.
when you talk to somebody from the city of Alexandria, we always, make sure y'all know. And no shade on Richmond Highway, none of that. But we always make sure we take pride in where we come from. We let you know, and we are from the city, not the county, but we are from the city. Remember the Titans. Y'all seen the movie with Denzel. The guy that he played in that movie, Coach Boone, he was actually my driver's ed teacher when I walked into T.C. Williams in 1996. I just didn't know the backstory on Coach Boone until I graduated. I graduated in 1998. And I believe that movie came out 2000 and something. I can't really remember what year. So I never really knew. So that's the section of Alexandria where I come from. But I do represent that whole the DMV area, which is, Arlington, Green Valley, all, Richmond Highway, Seven Woods, Beacon Woods, and then you go up to Dale City, Woodbridge, Lake Rick, that we are considered the DMV area. So I'm here to represent that area. But to be specific to the listeners, I am from the city of Alexandria, West End to be specific, 5,000, the 5,000 block. That's, where I'm from. So growing up, I know I grew up, I don't know how exactly how I know, DeUce, you told me you were 42, 43,
41.
41 years. So, I grew up, when I was younger, I hung out with a bunch of older, I never really hung out with, kids my age. Yeah, so growing up, I grew up around much of the older heads that we used to say, and I watched these guys, coming from the Ibex, you know, going to see JY. Never made it there because I was too young for the Ibex back then. My era was the Icebox, well, it used to be the Zulu Cave off of New York Ave, Taj Mahal, Black Hole, and all that stuff, growing up. So, back then it was like, it's not like it is now. It's like the beef, the tension was there between the whole DC and Maryland, Virginia thing, because we were always shunned on, looked down upon. For some reason, by DC and Maryland, we just looked like, oh yeah, we were like the rich kids from across the bridge, whatever. But people don't know the same struggles that CW was facing in the Southeast, I was facing. Same struggle that I was facing in Virginia, DeUce, you were facing in PG County. So that's the part I really want to focus on as far as our conversation, because it's just
We just lost you again, but I'm gonna just try to catch the alley oop while we lost you for a second. But
okay.
between city and county, I can hear you now. But between city and county, I think that's always where the gray area comes in. Like, cause the cities always move faster. Counties continue to be country or slower. But I mean, when you just said that thing with Virginia, I learned that today. I never knew that. So it's like, I mean, by being right over that line with DC, right by close to Southeast, you know what I mean? It's literally walking distance. I could walk 10 minutes and go to Southeast. But it's faster in the city. It's technically, or like people would think cliche, would be slower in the country, but people are, it's like you say, it's the same struggles though. You know what I mean? It's the same. It's not really, it's not like it's 100 miles away or something.
No, it's definitely the same struggles. You know what I'm saying? That's what, that's what my whole, what I want the conversation, to be about. You know what I'm saying? So people can, have a better, especially the next generation. They don't know. You know what I'm saying? Because Alexandria is really bigger than what they think. People don't even realize that Alexandria stretches before we got pushed in to become this little small city. People don't realize Alexandria stretched all the way to Georgetown. It's just that DC, people don't even realize, they don't even know the history. Alexandria by itself was huge. All the way to where Lord Prison was all Alexandria. It just what happened was Fairfax, Arlington County, and DC squeezed us in to the point that we became this small little pocket called the city of Alexandria. Alexandria literally stretched all the way across the Rosalind Key Bridge to Georgetown. And people don't even know. So technically, we all from the same, pocket. It's just that division caused us to, you know what I'm saying? And when people try to cause division, there's always some kind of, it's some evil intention, behind it.
If I may, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Not to cut you off. Utilizing my superior Gonzaga education, I actually did know that.
Yeah. First of all, no, we're not doing this, CW.
Also,
you see how he tried to throw that in there?
It was when
we're not doing
during the Civil War when they went ahead and cut Georgetown off. But something I want to say that I don't think we really were able to touch upon. If we are going to keep the conversation generalized on just the DMV in general,
yes, sir.
We really have to understand that, and I'm gonna give you a quick story about it. But my oldest son came up here to start working in entertainment production with us, and he was taking jobs in Baltimore, and here we are in Fort Washington, and he would go from the station. From the Green Line station at Southern Avenue, and he'd go to Greenbelt, hop on the MARC, and he'd be in Baltimore in an hour and a half, work 8 hours, make about $500, hop right back on that MARC train, and come right back home. And the crazy thing that we have to kind of realize is that, there's people that commute to DC from West Virginia, from Delaware, and we have to realize that, you could do just about whatever the hell you want. Like, if you want to, well, especially during, seasonally, but fortunately we have global warming. So, we only have about maybe 4 months of really, really bad winter weather, if that 3. And so if you want to go to VA Beach, it ain't number 3.5 hours. And we're right here in Fort Washington. I could take 301, cut over at King George, and make it a 2.5 hour scenario, or at least get to the Atlantic Ocean. Or if I want to go to Ocean City, I can dive through Baltimore. I can go party in Annapolis. And I hate to keep referencing partying, but one of the sweet things about where we're at is that you have all of these different nationalities, because we're drawing so many different people. Like, I remember the first African girl I fell in love with. I remember the first white girl I fell in love with. I remember some of my best homies were Asian, or Filipino. So we have so many. Oh, and my very first crush in life was a South Korean chick. So, we have so many different flavors and different types and different people that bring about different ideas and provide you kind of different routes to, living a quality life. And at the end of the day, it's all about quality life. Do you have a comfortable dwelling? Is your surroundings comfortable? Is your food options comfortable? Things like that. And when you look at this region, it's amazing, because we're talking about 11 million people, and we're sharing a footprint that goes north of a couple counties north of Baltimore, and theoretically to Richmond and out in the western outskirts of Tidewater. So that's huge. And like the interconnectivity to say, hey, for us as DeUce and myself, we're independent contractors. So if we pick up a contract in Richmond, we could be down there in an hour and a half, and we're making the same money. You don't have that opportunity in every locale. It's somewhat of a recession-proof locale. Even during when COVID happened, shut down half the world. It shut down our industry. But
hey, look, I hate to cut you off. We were working in the White House. Me and CW were working in the White House during COVID, and no one else was working because it's DC. It's so much stuff here. But go ahead, I didn't cut you off.
Yeah, and actually it's funny, because I was going to mention another aspect to that. We have so much of an economic importance in this region that when the country was shut down during COVID, just from the entertainment production standpoint, a lot of our engineers and technicians were directly pushed into online streaming and online podcast services, just so that all these corporations and companies and stuff could still have their annual meetings. So here we are, we're in the center of where every company has representation. And when COVID happened, these companies still need to have their meetings of their connectivity for whatever their footprint of people are. And they call these same event production people and tell us to do online hubs. So we are very fortunate in this region. The flip side to that, though, is that we've all seen Independence Day. We've all seen, the dystopian movies. If shit was to go down, we are in ground zero. And that sucks. That kind of sucks. That sucks. If Joe Biden trips over the nuclear football, we're gone. So, but other than that, man, it's an amazing region. There's great opportunity, beautiful people, beautiful, just lifestyle. My younger son wants to come back up here. We kind of had our little differences or whatever due to baby mama drama, blah, 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 blah. But even he still wants to come back up here because he knows that this is where he can, take off with whatever engineering ideas he has. You go out to VA, out there by Dulles, like I told him, you have all the computer hardware builders are right there in Tyson's Corner in Dulles. That's like our, that's our internet hub. So, and again, that's the internet hub for the entire Mid-Atlantic region. I mean, come on, so yeah, it's awesome. It's different. It's fun, but if you got a decent bit of change, if you're making five, anywhere between, I'll say, 4,500 to 20,000 a month, you're doing all right here. I mean, you're getting by here, and that's 45 after taxes, 4,500. But I mean, you can make it here and you can enjoy yourself here. And even if you're making a little bit less, there's ways you can carve around the apple to still make it affordable, live within your means, and still have a great time, So the city's booming. There's a new development every day. There's a new real estate development. So, yeah, man, I mean, like, there's nothing else really like it. And we have the perfect blend of country hospitality and urban city life. It's the perfect medium, literally the perfect medium. We're right in the middle of the South and North. So we have the urban. If you want the urban lifestyle, you go to the Alexandrias, the Arlingtons, the DCs. Obviously upper Northwest, whatever, what have you. If you want the country lifestyle, you go to the Waldorfs, you go to the Warrentons, you go to Woodbridge, you go, north in Baltimore, out there, Olney, whatever have you, Annapolis. If you want waterfront, you got Annapolis, Fort Wise, Alexandria. I mean, like, we have whatever you need. So
right.
It's awesome.
Hey, I want to, unless you had a major point, I want to say something about Fort Washington, but go ahead. I don't want to cut you off, Black. I got a point I want to come back and tie into something we said earlier. But go ahead.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
going to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. So, 20 Bello just pulled up. I want him to come in. Yes, sir. 20 Bello's in the building. He just pulled up. So I want him to come in, introduce himself, give us a little backdrop, where he come from, so the listeners, so we can move on with the conversation. Bello.
Yo.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you for joining us, sir.
Hey, no problem, man. Shout out to you, DeUce, Mr. CDW. Hope all y'all brothers doing well.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. And just so people know, 20 Bello, DC native, so I'm literally just outnumbered here today. But I'm going to let you get the floor, Bello. Introduce
I'm going to give him his
yourself.
flowers. He created the DMV.
I'm going to let him tell. That's why I'm asking him. I want him to tell
I'm
it.
sitting here like, wait a minute.
So Bello's in here. So Bello, go ahead, man. The mic's on you. Introduce yourself to the listeners so people know who you are.
I'm 20 Bello, ex-rapper, promoter, videographer. I did create the DMV in the early 2000s as a umbrella for unity. We were having a lot of open mics, and we had a lot of different people from different places all over DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And my partner at the time, Cat Galloway, was in the studio one day, and he mentioned it, and I said we need to take this and build something off of it. So fast forward, that's what happened. And I've been listening, and all the geographical things are spot on. In DC particularly, the gentrification is something that need to be addressed. But as far as the DMV was never based on anything geographical. The DMV was always based on unity, regardless of where you were born. So if you were born in Richmond, it ain't matter, because we're not saying that you from the DMV. Nobody is from the DMV. You from Richmond. But, we treated it as a business model, as a product. And I always tell the young artists, I say, you got a lot of problems with the term DMV, but if you got a product, you don't want your product just to be stuck in Southeast. Like, you want your product to have a bigger support system than, the dudes on the block in Southeast. So that's what the DMV was about. You know what I mean? And to this day, it's one of the hottest tested debates in the DMV, period. Every single day. All the major platforms always got some goofy stuff to say about DMV or whatever, right? But they missing the whole point of the movement. And here's the thing, though. It's nothing they can do that's going to stop that movement. And reason being, because if you wake up in the morning, turn on the radio, you got some meteorologists talking about the DMV. They have no idea where it came from.
Facts.
So Bello, let me ask you a question, right? Let me ask you a question, Bello. When you started this movement, right? I obviously you had good intentions, behind it. Like, how do you feel about how it was back then, and how do you actually feel about it as now, what you're seeing with the division and all this ignorance? Whenever you bring up the DMV move, because that's why I wanted to do this show, because it's like it's so much ignorance. And I know whoever started this, it was good intentions, but then by the time it gets down to the next generation, it turns into something else, because you saw it with the Black Panther Party. You saw it with the Gangster Disciples. You saw it with the Black Disciples.
That's always the case. I mean, you could be a car manufacturer. You created a car with good intention, but you can't stop nobody from drunk driving. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's just the way it is.
Right.
So, and my thing is this: there's always been division, and there always will be. You know what I mean? But the thing is, they could be divided as long as they have lack of knowledge. But there are so many people who get the message. That's what I focus on. I don't focus on who refuse the message. You know what I mean? Because these are the same ones that's trying to push their music, because that's what DMV started from, music. These are the same ones that's trying to sell a product. But they don't understand the business model, because they don't understand that they are a business. So I don't focus on, if I focus on that, I would lose my mind. Because every single day somebody got something to say. And I'm talking about people that has a little bit of standing out here still get it wrong. I don't focus on that. You know what I mean? I scroll on by. People tag me every single day and stuff, stupid stuff that people say. I don't respond. You know what I do? I remember a time when we had to fight against Go-Go.
Man.
You know what I mean? We had to fight against Go-Go as rappers just to get heard.
Yeah.
How old are you, Bello? How old are you, Bello?
I'm 48.
You 40? Okay, so you got me by some years. So yeah, we kind of grew up.
I've been doing this since I was 21.
Can I say something?
I started doing this rap thing when I came out of Lawton. I was in Youth Center 1.
Ooh, okay.
You know what I mean? So I came out of Lawton and went straight to music.
Okay,
so whatever perception people have, I let them have it, because one thing I know for sure, they can't stop it. There's no threat.
So let me ask you this, right? You know what I'm saying? Because just for a little bit that you heard, now you got people intrigued, right, with your story. Just for a little bit, but let me tell you something. We're going to have a whole nother podcast between me and you, but just for a little snippet.
Bello got to come back. He got to come back.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I was trying to get here earlier, man. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it, but.
Perfect timing, brother.
Yeah, you good. Color folks can't make nothing on
Before
time.
you do that, can I say something super quick though?
Yeah,
because I've been holding it, man. Hey, look, man. I apologize, man. I've been holding it. Look, Bello, man. Look. All right, so look, Bello and DeUce might know a certain individual a lot better than I do, right? But let me just say this right quick about the DMV music scene and my opinion on why it's not really getting...
We're on the way to church. Just remember that. I know what you're talking about. We're on the way to church.
Yeah. CW.
Don't be too disrespectful.
This is not Vlad TV, because he about to go in.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to say this openly, all right? And I'm going to say this generally, okay? All right. So, you know how you have certain dialect, right? Like, you know how you have some of our Anglo-Saxon brothers and sisters that kind of come up a little bit urban, quote unquote, in certain environments, and they talk a certain way. They have a certain cadence. There's a W word that's offensive if you put an N on it, that sometimes they're referred to as. So there's a certain rapper, hypothetically, that represents the DMV, and every time he raps, he sounds...
You over there instigating too, DeUce.
Okay, but hold on, but Bello, because I don't want to offend.
I know this man.
No, CW, you good. You good,
I know
bro.
he knows him personally. I know DeUce knows him personally. All I'm going to say is, it's unfortunate that the district's music representation, and again, a lot of it is because, in theory, go-go bands are just kind of glorified cover bands. In some senses, once they have their own traditional or saying like their own traditional songs or whatever, they crank out. Don't get it twisted. But what really cranks out is how they cover other songs, right? We get that. So go-go is always going to kind of have a certain limiter on its ability to really go mainstream. And that is what it is. And honestly, I could care less. Because as long as Backyard, the EUs, the Junks, and all of them can make their money here, they ain't got to go nowhere. Make people come here to experience it, and I think that's wonderful. But what I will say is, unfortunately, the king of DMV rap at the moment shouldn't be. I'm going to say it. And on top of that, I feel like that's kind of quelching our ability to really get some of our talented young acts out there so that we can kind of have our own sound, our own kind of approach to hip hop. And yo, Bello, I already know that dude's been kicking
I'll tell you what I think about
it's just
that, man.
Unfortunate, man.
I'll tell you what I think about that. You know,
I'll mute my mic.
In my opinion, right, truly, there's no king of the DMV.
No, I agree.
You know what I mean?
You're from inside the DMV. I'm talking outwardly.
Yeah,
third person.
You know, but the thing is, right, for me, the way I look at it, I look at music. You know what I mean? There's a lot of upcoming artists. Put it like this. When we started the DMV, there was rappers. People don't think there was. There were rappers. Right? But they didn't have the same tools that these rappers have today. We didn't have Facebook and Instagram and all this. You know, we wasn't doing no streaming and all this type of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So for me, my position is this. If you really want to get out there, regardless of who is doing whatever or however they doing it, that's solely up to that individual to put in that work.
Man.
You know what I mean? Man, it's no free ride here. You know what I mean? You got to get out here like I did. You got to go against the norm. It wasn't normal for us to rap at the go-go shows. We got booed. You know what I mean? But we kept with it. And now, guess what? We rapping with what band? We rapping with JY. We rapping with Backyard. You know what I mean? And when these event promoters put their stuff together, they include the rappers now. It wasn't like that before. So I'm looking at the progress. I'm not worried too much about who doing what or how they rap or how they look. I'm worried about, are we opening up enough doors? Like we just had the DC Music Summit, like 6 years running, right? DC Music Summit introduces the DMV and the world to a lot of talent that people don't even know that exists here. And they get the support, but they don't get enough support, but they get the support. We did it at Anacostia High School this past year. You know what I mean? Before that, it was at my high school, Duke Ellington. That's where I graduated from. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of different avenues out here. It's a lot of different power players that people don't know about out here. So whatever lane you in, that's your lane, man. All I'm saying is the DMV is built on unity. It was built on expanding the product to different regions outside of your block. And if that's what you're trying to do, I'm for it. If you're trying to be against it, I ain't got nothing for you.
But do you agree that there is a division, though? It's like, I don't know the division.
There's always a division.
Is that?
There's always a division. Let me tell you something. I'm one of the top OSHA safety trainers in the region. I teach a lot of disadvantaged youth coming out of Baltimore in a program called Jumpstart. I'm a teacher at Johns Hopkins. You know what I mean? I'm a teacher for United Rentals. On and on. And when I teach these youngers in Baltimore, right, we had this discussion. I said, why Baltimore hate the DMV? Because we ain't a part of no DMV. But what's the M and the D? The DMV. What's the M? What it stand for? Where's Baltimore and Maryland? Now, I shock them when I tell them I got people in Baltimore that's been supporting the DMV from day one. People like Shaka Pitts, Boss Lady Miliani, Lady Shy Heron. You know what I mean? People like that got notable names, Jail Flick, Diablo. People that's been up in Baltimore doing things in Baltimore, you know, on a substantial level. So I can never wake up in the morning and expect everybody to be like, yeah, DMV. That's just unrealistic. You know what I mean? Like, it's always going to be somebody that's so tied down to the mentality of the trap, because it's truly a trap. You know what I mean? And they don't see beyond that. So any disrespect towards or anything they think is disrespect towards where they come from, they're not going to support it. but it's really not a disrespectful thing.
So let me ask all three of y'all a question, right? Okay, because you mentioned Bello, you mentioned disrespect. You know what I'm saying? Every single action always comes from a thought, right? And now it's coming to a point that DMV is out of control. Because you mentioned the key word, disrespect. It's coming to the point that this new generation, you know what I'm saying? They don't come from our generation. Because Bello, you know, our generation, we go to the Black Hole, Taj Mahal, East Side, we go down to the Zulu Cave, Icebox. You remember, because my favorite band was JY.
Yeah.
I was in there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm asking you, like, where do we come to the point where it's like it turned the way it did? You know, because you know, growing up, we had that respect for each other. We can walk into a go-go and I can see a group of niggas wearing hobo, and I'll be like, yeah, I know where y'all from. I can see this group wearing madness. I can see this group wearing shooting. You know what I'm saying? It's like a uniform type, you know. But now it's like everybody looks alike, and there's no kind of organization. There's no respect. It's just straight. Like, how did we get to that point?
I don't know. I don't know if I could agree 100% with that, because I know a lot of people that have a lot of respect for each other from different places, different hoods in DC. You know what I mean? Like, and then we gotta think about the fact that when we was coming up in our era, we could do that, but dudes were still getting shot and killed. You know what I mean? People were still beefing. You know, people 2 blocks over were still beefing with each other. You know what I mean? I'm from uptown.
They doing that right now, though, Bello.
But what I'm saying is this: it's nothing new under the sun. It's just a different way.
You
know what I mean?
Quote that Ecclesiastes to me. I don't like that.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
It's nothing new under the sun. I thought we was going to church.
I don't like that. I don't like how he He just called it Ecclesiastes. On my way to church. All right.
I thought we was
Bello,
going to church.
You got it. No, you got it. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. Go ahead.
It's nothing new under the sun. But the older we get, the more mature we get, some of us. And now we starting to think about these things, right? But if we really take that out of the equation and think about when we was coming up, I'm from 6 and S. I couldn't go 1 block over to 5th Street. You know what I mean? Nobody could go to 5th and O. You know, that's how it was. It was just, I mean, in a close radius and beefing over stuff that we ain't even originate. You know what I mean? So I think right now, with the addition of social media and all these different things that these youngsters are exposed to, it seems to be a little bit more elevated than what we used to, but it's the same thing.
Hey, can I say something? I just want to chime in real quick.
Yes,
as far as like what he said, the main point of disrespect, I think sometimes the disrespect comes from like the social media. It's like a double-edged sword. I just keep saying the Bible thing. But the social media, you know, you can help yourself, you can hurt yourself. People can say and throw stones and hide their heads and hands. So it's like people will say something on the internet. I had a boy who used to, talk to this other guy that we know from DMV, not to mention people again, but he would talk to him disrespectfully on the internet and make him mad, and then he'd go back and then he'd laugh about it. But he wouldn't probably do that in his face. Matter of fact, I went to the club one time at a video shoot, and hey, that's the guy, and he dapped him up. So it's like, I mean, the internet is making people be fake, you know what I mean? Not making them.
That's exactly how I caught a gun charge in 2011. Because I let myself get out of pocket because the dude was talking trash on the internet, and he posted a flyer where he was going to be rapping that, and I met him there. You know what I mean? So if you don't guard your mental, right, and you don't understand that this is what happens on social media, people going to talk trash, man. They're going to hide behind profiles. They're going to hide behind this. They're going to hide behind that. It's that's a little bit different, but it's still nothing new. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna just say this. I'm proud that the DMV is doing what it's doing. You know, you got to take the good with the bad, you know, because right now, many of us, not just me, built this foundation for these young artists to flourish, and some of them get in the picture, and that's all we did it for. So I'm happy for it.
So you just mentioned it's nothing new. You know what I'm saying? It's our mental. There's 2 key words I just took from what you just said, Bello. And I'm going to start off with CW. Now, we just move all the way down. At what point did we, you know what I'm saying, lose that reason and logic? At what point? Because it starts off from somewhere. And did we feed that next generation with that? Because obviously they didn't just come out the womb and like, yeah, we just gonna come out here and just let wild boom, boom, boom. It comes from somewhere. So I'm starting off with us. Is there something that we didn't do in our generation that's passing on to this new generation?
So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna dive into. I used to be a federal surveillance engineer with the federal judiciary, and my core focus was dealing with sex trafficked youth. Something we didn't have back then was social media. And Bello kind of talked a little bit about it, but there's certain elements he kind of skirted around, or much rather, he didn't even address because he addressed one angle. I'm going to address another angle. Information. These youth have access to information at a pace that's never been seen before. So now we're dealing with a lot of 20-year-olds that were born in the 2000s. So with being born into the information age, and it sounds like somebody's lighting a lighter. If they can send something over here to Fort Washington right quick. Anyway, growing up in the information age, we have to understand that the way that these youth connect with each other and kind of transpose and manipulate their definitions or their interpretive definitions of certain behavior or certain trends and things like that, because I mentioned it earlier, Sodom and Gomorrah is upon us. And now that we have the ability to connect dots and connect, and the globalization is within seconds. Like, for instance, my mother, when she was in China, I was able to follow her on her Find My thing, on her Apple, on her iPhone. And I was able to FaceTime her in China in milliseconds. So we have to think about the globalization of information and how our youth, who are dropping out at greater rates, who are getting pregnant at younger age at greater rates, who are sexually active at younger age. There's so many more elements and factors that are put into these young people's lives that it passively creates opportunity for disbalance. It passively creates opportunity for angst and just violence toward each other because of jealousy, because of, hey, bro, you're doing such and such with such and such. Hey, man, I don't like that, bop, bop, bop. And in D.C., we never really had gangs. Moreover, we had cliques. And I say that because we talk about the murder rates and stuff like that. Oh, yeah, there has to be gang violence. No, it wasn't gang violence. It was Pookie over there did something that was disrespectful. He's going to get shot. It ain't had nothing to do necessarily. And mind you, we had crews, we had cliques, but it was just different because it was more familial or more whatever that term is, familial or whatever.
Familial, yeah. Shout out to Big B, familial.
Right. There was love involved. You're starting to dilute that love. So now, you got a woman who say, hey, I can't date a dude who's making less than $100,000. Well, damn, what do you do for a living, man? I'm on OnlyFans. Oh, I can't compete with you. So now we have our youth that have access to unbelievable things. And that in itself, if you look at it in any other microorganism, once you have all these differing ideas and differing opinions of all these actual organisms, they start smashing upon each other. They're living on top of each other. They're working on top of each other. They're commuting on top of each other. Something's going to happen. Someone's going to step on a pair of Jordans. Someone's going to get shot. And so I say that to say we can't necessarily control the direction of where these youngins are going, but these little iPhones and Instagram and Snapchat and all that takes the control out of the adults being able to kind of protect the downstream of society to these youth for them to go ahead and take into the next generation, because now they can do it on their own.
I definitely agree with you, everything you're saying, CW, because we are social creatures, you know what I'm saying? And I see how the world is moving. Now it's like you can't walk into a grocery store and have a conversation with the checkout lady, because now you can check out your own bag. So that social part is getting cut off. You can't, you know what I'm saying? It's like now we can order a suit off online. Back then you had a tailor that you had a relationship with. That part is cut off. So I get exactly what you're saying. It's technology is a beautiful thing, but it's something about it that is destroying us as people. Definitely, I agree with you. I definitely
What
so
I think
do.
is technology. It helps. I think it's because it can help you, but
Mm,
it's just like prime example back when they made a microwave and then someone put it in a microwave instead of cooking. You know what I mean? Like now you
mm,
got Uber Eats. Right now I can call Uber Eats or call an Uber to 7-Eleven, or I can just go out of the
right.
house and walk 0.4 miles or 3 miles and get some exercise. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's so many choices. Is it the proper choice? You know what I mean? So it's like you get inundated with all this stuff. Cause like now, prime example, not to put, like my daughter's business out there, she got into something, kids getting into stuff. And I was talking with my sister, she was like, DJ, that wasn't even possible to get into that. You
Mm.
that could happen, but not that way because we didn't have access to those tools. So it's just different. You could get tools where somebody can get rich in 6 months or they can get killed in one day. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's scary. You know what I mean? But it's all in the choices you make and how, and all we can do is set an example for the youth, for real, more so, because it's so much internet. If you don't talk to them and set examples, they're going to be looking at that. They're not going to not look at internet. I mean, they come up in the internet age, so it is what it is.
Yeah, and I
So
think just to kind of piggyback um, about the knowledge and the information as CWD mentioned. I did mention that we didn't have these tools, back then. But when you really think about it, the murder rate in DC was a lot higher during my era than it is today. One murder is enough. You know what I mean? So over the years, we went from the murder cap to, we ain't the murder cap. We should never been proud of that in the first place. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
So, but at the same time, the
A lot more
information
white
that's
people.
available, it's going to be up to the individual on how to process that information. You know
So
what I
do you
mean?
think that drugs were replaced with technology? Because remember back then the murder rate was so
Mm,
high because of the crack epidemic. Do you think that they've
Nah,
replaced
I
technology?
can
it's white
agree. I
people.
can
It's white
agree.
people. DC got more gentrified. Once DC got more gentrified, you started to
Yeah.
see the overlapping of
But
multiple
if we talk
jurisdictions.
about
Yeah, it's
the root of it, right?
Yeah.
A couple of you guys mentioned about our generation. It ain't stopped with our generation. You know what I mean? This stuff that we had to deal with started way before we was born, and it didn't start by us. You know what I mean? If you put 5 hungry pit bulls in a room with one steak, what's going to happen? You know what I mean? So they
Yeah.
put us in this position to kill each other over something that they was keeping us from getting in the first place. You know what I mean? So now with this technology, you got the knowledge. You can get the knowledge to do better. That's what I did in my own life when I got out of prison. You know what I mean? So me, I'm not the type of person that's going to take an excuse from anybody about what they can't do. I'm a
Absolutely.
5-time felon. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? And as a 5-time felon, I can go on a Port of Baltimore and train heavy equipment. It's no excuse, man. You know what I mean? I'm
Nah, you're
not
not
saying
lying.
it's
You're
going
not
to
lying.
fall in your lap.
No, I agree. I definitely agree. I definitely
But at
agree.
the same time, they are downfalls and pitfalls with the amount of information that's available. And then you got to realize this too. A lot of the information that these youngins process is fake news.
Yeah. That does
and
Of
exist. That
course.
is
I
the
mean,
thing.
yeah, control the
It is a thing.
masses. Hmm.
Yeah, they'll release stuff, and these youngins so ignorant, and everybody want to say this when you check them. Do your research. No, you should have did your research because what you
Okay.
talking about is not true. You know what I mean?
But
So they'll run over that, and then it's the way the algorithms are set up. You know, it's people behind these algorithms. That's pushing a certain agenda. And if they
okay.
pushing a certain agenda, it's like, for example, I could go on my social. I got a lot of followers. I got thousands of followers. I get millions of views on social media. But if I tested this theory, if I post something negative, I get maybe, like I just posted something the other day. I got damn near 80,000 likes. You know what I mean, on one little post. But if I come right back and post something positive, I'm gonna get like 5 likes
Facts.
because it's not aimed for
Facts.
that. It's not
So
aimed
let
for
me
that. It's
so
aimed to keep you ignorant.
So let me ask you a question though, Bello, because you really hit something, and I was trying to stay away from the Bible. So Bello says you want to bring it up because I ain't like your third verse. You said something in that verse that hit me about. The man said, "It's nothing new under the sun." I don't even know what that means. He called Solomon to me. I ain't like that. So I'm like, you know what?
But
No,
it's the
it was
guy.
real.
Think about it, right?
No. All this stuff, it was real what he said. You know what I'm saying? So I want to stick with that, what he just said. So it has to be something that we were doing that we're passing it on. That's what I'm trying to get to. Forget about technology, forget about the drugs, forget about
See,
white people,
what I'm
gentrification.
saying, what I'm saying is like we can't. I don't think we can. I don't really truly think that we can focus on what we didn't do or what we
Okay.
not doing. Because like I said,
Yeah.
this happened before us. My father was a murderer. You know what I mean? So this happened before I was born. My father got locked up and sentenced to life when I was 1 year old. So
Ooh.
this, when we think about the trials that our people in particular had to face and go through before we was afforded freedom, the freedoms that we had, that's an everlasting effect. So the only thing that I believe that you can do, and I do this daily, each one reach one, try to teach one, but I can't save everyone.
Absolutely. I agree with that. So that being said, right, we can go back and forth all day on that subject, right? But something got to start with all four of us men all together. And I'm going to start off with you dudes. You know what I'm saying? What advice do you have for this next generation coming up to have this repetitive behavior?
I think the advice I have for this generation is like, I'm gonna give a prime example. I'm gonna just go off a sidebar a little bit. Like 19 Keys, he has like YouTube stuff. He's talking knowledgeable, spiritual stuff. He's going to all his videos. He has different stuff. He talks about marriage. He talks about social stuff, AI, just different things. And I look at that. Like if you don't feed yourself certain stuff, because now like prime example, say about you go on YouTube and you watch the Bible over and over again. Just not keep going to the Bible, just anything that's spiritual or helpful. A self-help book, The Secret, Law of Attraction. You can watch it over and over again. You can go to sleep to it and you can put it in your subconscious. So my thing is to just add more, like you are what you eat, even in your brain. So it's like people we can't help. It's a human nature. If the car crash outside, I'm gonna look out the window right now. If somebody's outside getting married, I might play a video game and not pay attention to it. So it's human nature, but it's what you can feed yourself. You can change the narrative and the algorithms by doing, looking at more certain stuff. Like for my algorithm, I change my algorithm. When I see fights or people like, you saw that fight, you saw the person die? Nah, I ain't see it. I don't even want to click it. I don't even want to start, I want to control my algorithm. So you can't fully control it, but you can put extra stuff that you consume in yourself so you'll be better off. Like I say, back to my daughter, she's playing in the church. She's singing in the church. She's doing cheerleading. She's dancing. So she's still going to see Sexy Red. But she's like, when I joked with her the other day, I'm like, your hair looks like Sexy Red a little bit. She's like, don't do that. Don't even compare me to that. That's an insult. So, I mean, that's because she's feeding herself other stuff. Because that stuff is not going to go away.
Okay. CW.
Really good for you. Oh no, I didn't even mean to cut him off, man. I'm just like Destiny's real important to me, man. She's almost like a little niece to me, and just the fact that she's so level-headed enough to separate herself from some of the negative, I guess, imagery that. How do you say? I don't want to get anybody canceled, but there's a certain power cluster of individuals that are colored a certain color. Or they actually have no color, and they push an agenda that, basically turns our community into nonsense. But what I will say is one of the solutions, you got a brother like Bello, and he said something amazing because I'm actually going to reach out to him my damn self and try to get a boom lift certification or a law at least. I'm already hip. I already know you can do that. We're going to talk later. But one thing that we have to do, the 40-year-olds and the well-minded 30-somethings, we need to start trying to proactively attack the algorithms with And these are algorithms that are online and offline. We need to we need to do what some of our OGs used to do back in the day. I mean, I remember growing up back in the day, man, OGs would pull you aside if they see something whack. It's like, bro, why don't you go ahead and get this job? My first job was at AutoZone. You know what I'm saying? The OG pulled me aside. He saw me doing dumb, wild shit. He was like, nah, go work in there for my little brother. I ended up dealing with his little brother's daughter. But that's neither here nor there. The point is, it got me in a mode that got me into business mode, where I'm putting money in my pocket and I'm pulling myself away from some of the things in life. And I recently got rid of my Instagram. And I recently got rid of my Facebook because my mother responded to something I posted about 8 years ago. And it was in a phase of my life where I was just talking all types of dumb, reckless mess. And I said to myself, if my mom's responding to something from 8 years ago, I don't even want this no more. So I turned off my Facebook. Then a couple of days ago, I was on my Instagram, and I'm in the market to buy a puppy. So my Instagram ain't nothing but like football puppies, and unfortunately, it was just a whole bunch of half-naked women. And then I got to thinking to myself, like, am I just literally sitting here double-clicking these chicks all day? Nah, I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to do this no more. This doesn't even make sense. Like, who are these people? And, and then I have certain marketing agendas, so I'd save certain models that I'd consider at some point to reach out to for brand ambassador work. But I already know a whole slew of beautiful women, Howard grads, all types of stuff. I don't even need these people. So it kind of made me realize that I'm literally on this app for no other reason but to look at gorgeous babes all day. And I said to myself, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life. And so I didn't delete my account, but I temporarily suspended it. I come back once I start the merge to actually send a mass info blast to a couple of particular brand ambassadors because they have hundreds of thousands of followers or this and that. Or I can just be like, hey, Bello, put this on right quick and get 80,000 likes. But anyway, I say that to say, we have to detach ourselves from the technology, and we have to get back to the humanities. Had I known that our world was going to be in this battle with the integrity of humanity versus technology, I would have literally studied the humanities when I had an opportunity in college, so that it would have prepared me to have the mental acuity to be able to create systems that help us not fall in this trance, because that's all it is. It's a trance. Like, when you look at these people who can't even walk straight anymore, it's because their necks are crooked looking down at their phones for literally 10 to 12 hours a day. So when you multiply that, they've had their neck in that crooked position for years. And we have to get out of that. As OGs, it's our responsibility to try to attack the algorithms both online and offline and do what Bello's doing. Train these little youngins so that they're making $60,000 to $80,000 a year, working 40 to 60 hours a week, and they don't even have the time. By the time they come back to the hood, they're so damn tired they fall asleep with their PlayStation 5 controller in their hand while the streets are doing whatever the hell the streets are doing. That should be our agenda. And it's a lot of it has to do with Claude Anderson and Powernomics, but a lot of it also has to do with the ingenuity of who we are. And some of us have to become aware of the BS, man. Like, it's just a rat race of trash. And that just is what it is, man. I'm not a prude or anything like that. I'm not a born-again virgin or nothing. But I'm just saying I had to personally remove myself from social media because it's an oxymoron. You can't have social media. The two literally can't exist in reality. That's why it's on a fake reality, on a digital reality, on a little 2D, a two-dimensional reality. Because in real life, it could never happen.
Absolutely. So, Bello, it's on you next.
All right. Well, first off, I have 3 kids, right? I got one that just graduated from Emory University with a degree in film. And I have another child who's going into a sophomore year at North Carolina A&T to become a food scientist. And the things that, I and their mom instilled in them was this. Number one, and this applies to not just them, but to OGs too, because sometimes we don't do this. You gotta be quick to listen and slow to speak, right? Because every OG think he got the answer, right? We gotta sometimes shut up and listen to what these youngins got to say, because that's one of the biggest problems that the youngins have with us is that we don't listen. We don't understand. We don't understand what they going through. You can't just start being punitive and be a disciplinarian without understanding the predicament and the situation that some of these youngins are in. You got to first identify with them first, even to get close enough to get them to believe what you're saying. I'm big on that. Right. The other thing is that as far as the social media is concerned, it's all about strengthening your mindset, because one, the only true knowledge it starts with the fear of God. If you ain't got that, you ain't really on your way to them real Jews that you need to have, that you can share with everybody. You just going along with the norm. You know what I mean? So as a man, right, I could look at social media, but that's not going to dictate my life. But some people are not as strong as that. Everything they see on social media, they try. Every challenge they do, even if it's stupid, even if it costs them their life, they'll do it just to get some likes and some views. That's not the way to go. That's the algorithm that we're talking about. You know what I mean? So for me, I would, and I do this daily. I'm not just talking about it. I do it daily. And I understand that I can't go up to a group of youngins and tell them what to do. I can't do that. I could go up to the group of youngins and share my story. That's more effective. You know what I mean? I tell them, hey, young, listen, man, I got convicted of robbery. I was in shootouts, all true stories. I've been in prison. I've been shot by the police, all true stories. And once I start telling them that stuff, I see that their antenna starts to rise. You know what I mean? And I'm like, damn, man, OG, you been through that? I was like, yeah, man. I'm just trying to give you a better way or show you a better way. But, the old saying, you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't what? Make him drink.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say is this. It starts with your own kids. You know what I mean? Because one, I know dudes, great dudes, man. I know dudes that's out here trying to save this kid and they don't do nothing for their own kids. I know people like that. And I'm sitting back looking at cuz like, hey, you got a son over there, man. You got a daughter over there. Like, you over here trying to be Papa Save-A-Lot, and you ain't even in your own kids' life. You know what I mean? Like, it starts with your own unit, man. It starts with your own unit. Now, my thing is this. I'm not married, right? I'm divorced. Like me and my kids, we the best of friends. We still go on family vacation together. My son mother, we had some drama, but that's over. We matured and we work together. As a man, you gotta try to do that with the mother of your kids. You gotta try to do that for the kid cake and be that father that you need to be before you try to go out and say the hood.
Yeah.
And I'll adjourn my comments.
Yeah. Man, but this is gonna be my last question for the show, and I'm gonna start off with you, Bello. We're gonna move down CW all the way to DeUce, so we can end the show. And Bello, I'm gonna start off with you. I know a lot of times in life we think like our problems are so unique, like we don't realize that. This is why it was very important for me to have this show, because come from Virginia. A lot of, a PG County kid, black kid might look at me like, oh, he got it made over here. A DC kid might look at PG County kid like, oh, he got it made over there. But we all going through the same struggle. If you listen to the entire conversation we just had in the whole, we all going through the same situation, right? So my last question, and I'm going to start off with you, brother. We're going to move on to CW all the way to DeUce, right? What advice would you give to your younger self, Bello? That young kid that's
Man,
growing up to be where you at right now. What would you tell that kid?
if I could sit my younger self down and talk to my younger self down, the only thing I could probably say to my younger self, and I know my younger self ain't gonna listen, is that the streets ain't it. You know, the streets don't love you. You know, the streets is not gonna take care of you. There's only two pathways. You lucky if you make a third one. And the two pathways is either jail or in prison. So if I could tell my younger self that, I know my younger self ain't gonna listen, because when my younger self got over CTF and looked out that window in that cell, guess what I saw? The graveyard right next to DC jail. That's when I got the picture, when I got in that situation. So really wasn't nothing nobody can really tell me, because the call of the streets was a lot stronger than somebody's words. But I would tell my younger, and then I would also tell my younger self, knowing that I made it through that, just stay strong, man. You're going to go through some things. All right? You're going to get knocked down. You're going to be in that cell on 23 and a half, one shower every 3 days, all because you're not listening to me right now. So you're going to get shot by the police. You're going to be in PG County ICU unit on life support for 2 months. You're going to have to learn how to walk again. You're going to learn how to talk again. You're going to carry around bullet wounds for the rest of your life. And you're going to have complications every morning when you wake up from scar tissue, from major surgeries, from nearly losing your life because you ain't listening to me right now. So be prepared to go through that.
Okay, CW. CW, you still with us?
I think he went to get a blunt.
All right. we see, look, first, you see, look, we can't do that on my way to church podcast now, brother.
Right.
I did it
Yeah,
after
but
church.
go ahead, dude. Yeah, hey, Bello, you got to tell him we can't do that on my way to church.
Right.
We can't.
He told you he was all over the club scene. You know what I'm saying? He
Hey,
talking about
man,
after
look at
church.
God made them plants, man. God made them plants.
No. Hey, Bello, we're not doing that. We're not. You just shut us down with a Bible verse, and I'm still
Hey,
mad
man.
at that because I was
Hey,
trying
man.
to look. Let me tell you, Bello. I was trying to, you know what I'm saying, paint a different narrative. That man quoted a scripture out of the book of Ecclesiastes. Bello said, "It's nothing new under the sun." That thing had me
A lot
hot,
of
dude.
people,
I was like,
a lot of people don't
"Oh,
know, man. Don't get it twisted. I know that word, man.
oh yeah, but look, we gonna talk, Bello. It's gonna be another podcast. Me, and you gonna talk because you owe me
Yeah, I
one."
know that word. People be surprised. I know that word, man. I used to study. Yeah, he said, hold on. I think he went to find, I ain't gonna say that, a lighter.
Wait, I've seen him in the group text. I didn't see none of that. He said, hold on.
Nah,
Yeah, he said his mic muted.
yeah, he in the group chat on the pod. He says Mike, but go ahead, Dukes.
Okay, well, so he figured it out. I go ahead and say if I could talk to my younger self, cause like, I mean, it's funny you talk about younger self. I just seen a guy work that I ain't seen since elementary school, and it reminded me about my younger self and how quiet I was and how smart I was. I forgot I was even a damn spelling bee. But from that point, like you would never thought. Some people even will hear me on here now wouldn't even know I got a felony. Like, how you get a felony, Deuce? Of all people, you're grandma in the Gospel Hall of Fame and doing this and that. Make educational CDs for the kids in the Washington Post. How
Not
you got a
bad.
felony?
Not bad.
Yeah, no, you're gonna be last, DB. But my point is, to my younger self, because even after me getting a felony, I ended up working in the White House, ended up getting in a union, I ended up getting jobs where I'm making $40, $50 an hour more money than I've ever made. I ended up getting some jobs like getting $1,000 in 2 days of work. But my point of how I got to that is by what I would tell my younger self. Don't focus on the negative or stuff you don't like and don't want. I mean, don't get me wrong. You're a human being. You got a million thoughts in your head. Stuff is going to happen that you don't like and you don't want. But you don't have to keep thinking, feeling, and dwelling on them because that creates a negative mind state. Like I used to back in the day just think about stuff I didn't like and want, talk about people stuff I don't like and want. And sometimes you got to get off your chest. You got to vent, but you can't be inundated in that stuff. You know what I mean? You got to take it with a grain of salt. And so like that was what I would tell my younger self. Focus on solution-based things. Focus on, if you have a problem that's really blowing you that much, just think about the solution. And if it's that difficult and that negative, hate this church thing, pray about it, read something spiritual. But I mean, go ahead and do something else, play a video game, go for a walk, Even if you're not spiritual, go smoke a cigarette or something, and just like get your mind off it, take a breath, and think about something solution based or something positive. Because I mean, the more it's the law of attraction, man. Whatever you think about, whatever you feel about, it brings it into the universe. People can believe it or not, but at one point, the couch I'm looking at is green. Back in the day, someone said we're making it green. That's going to be called green. Somebody, what are you talking about, green? So your brain, how you think is a big thing, and that's how they control us now with the social media. You gotta really have your self control.
All
All
right,
right.
C-Dub.
Yeah. First thing I'll tell my young self is not to quit playing hockey. I had an opportunity to be on the same level as Tiger Woods as far as
Man,
groundbreaking, kind of breaking the barrier. And so now I barely even watch hockey because I see all these black hockey players and it pisses me off and I can't even watch it anymore. And, I'm actually 100% serious. But if you want to hear something crazy, this is how you know God loves you. The one season I watched hockey, I came back to watching it. The Capitals won the championship. I swear to God, and I haven't watched it since. Actually, I'd rather fast forward to when my second son was born, and me and his mom kind of had our differences, so to speak, because I was part of the largest real estate scandal in the history of the Middle Atlantic region. And during that time period, I wasn't listening to anybody. I was afraid of, fortunately I had certain, protections in my life, but it was a crazy time period in my life. If I can go back in time, I tell myself to listen to my mom. My mom told me, she said, hey, you now have a job with the federal judiciary and you have that child every day while she's out running around doing her thing, which is fine. It's life. My mom told me to take her to court in Washington, D.C. and go ahead and get custody. I didn't do it. I said, nah, Ma, she'll never take me to court. She took me to court in PG County, and that black judge tore me apart. And it kind of started the evolution of me losing my grasp, and my relationship with my younger son was kind of hit a melting point during this Father's Day, unfortunately, which might have terminated my relationship with him perpetually. But nonetheless, I went from having him 28 days a month to 8 days a month. And then she moved to Atlanta during COVID when I didn't even know. And I now get to see him whenever I can afford to see him. But that's neither here nor there. I would listen to my mother a lot more. I would take the advice of a lot of the OGs that were in my life who experienced a lot of life, and I just was so bullheaded and I felt like I was invincible. So that'd probably be the only thing I'd do, was probably taking a lot of advice, not quit hockey. And unfortunately, I wouldn't be on this call because I'd be busy on on a $2 million yacht right now. But
Yeah, see, dude, you
I
see
probably
how
still take the
he'd have
call.
forgot about it.
I probably still take the call.
He'd have curved us,
Still
Bello.
take the call.
Hey, Bello, he'd have curved us.
But I'd be on a yacht.
He'd have curved us.
I thought you was trying to help us. How you gonna do us like that?
Now, he'd have
Hey, I'm
curved
just
us,
saying,
Bello.
man, I could have made it. I could have been somebody, man.
So you trying to read nobody? That's what you trying to say?
Nah. But no, definitely listen to my mother, man. I think if I had full custody of my son, my mental would have been a lot better over the past 17 years. But such is life. And so just taking advice from the elder circle. These people have lived this life before, and I just didn't see it back then. So that'd probably be it.
All right, man. Brothers, I enjoyed the show, and I will end it like this. Since I asked y'all that question, if I can be allowed to answer that question, my younger self, I grew up around structure all my life. Who you hang out with, who you need to be friends with, how to dress, and all this other stuff, all throughout my life. So, just growing up, it's just structure. People always trying to put structure in your life, and they mean well. The people that are doing this, they got good intentions. But I think a lot of time, just being at the age of 44 years old, I finally realized that they had good intentions, but bad judgment call. So when I turned 27, I walked into a church called Crossroads Baptist Church right here in Falls Church, Virginia. And I heard the gospel, and the light that I saw kept getting brighter because I come from a very, very dark place. Dark. Bello, you know that dark place. CW, you know that dark place. DeUce, you know that dark place. It's dark, bro. And it doesn't get bright until wisdom comes in. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, you know, it's a lot of control behind it. How you should dress, who you should be friends with, where you should go. You know what I'm saying? And then what I would tell my younger self, two simple things that made my life. Cause I'm telling you, I've been doing this since I was 13. Majority of my childhood friends, when they was having slumber parties, I was sitting in the back of a U-Haul that we rented for $200 going to the go-go. My 13-year-old friends, where I should have been with them playing Sega Genesis, NBA Live back in the days, I was not with them. Their parents didn't even.
Oh, you broke up. You got cut off after Sega Genesis and parents. We lost you.
Oh, okay. I'm back. You know, so these kids that I was hanging out with, where I was supposed to be playing Sega Genesis, and, you know, I was not hanging out with them. Literally, I was in the back of a U-Haul that we rented for $200 because we was trying to go to the Taj Mahal, trying to go, you know, because I told you I grew up hanging out with these older guys from, you know, from my block. These are the guys that raised me. But that being said, if I was to set my youngest self down, I got saved at the age of 27. And what I learned, what I would tell that young, you know, black, you know, that kid, 2 words: follow Jesus Christ. Because if it wasn't for him, that structure, that religious, that, you know, all that stuff, I would never be open to talk to DeUce. I would never be open to talk to CW. I would never be open to talk to Bello. Because the people that were instilling this with me, they had good intentions, but the bad judgment call in it is they did not throw Jesus Christ in the middle, which is love. You know what I'm saying? And if you look at the way he lived, his best friend Peter was cursing the first day he met Peter. He was cursing. But according to the world standard, Jesus Christ should not be hanging out with him. His main girl that was hanging out with him was a prostitute, Mary Magdalene. But according to the world, he should not be with her. You know what I'm saying? So my only thing is to sit down with that young black, be like, you know what, follow Jesus. And I'm glad I can have this conversation because I'm telling you, before I got saved 27, y'all would have probably jumped me. Y'all would have probably felt some type of way coming from Virginia because I had no knowledge or wisdom or understanding how to talk to men, how to deal with y'all without offending people. It was all emotions. I can talk to Bello. That man was 21 years old being a lawyer. And I remember when I went to law and prison at a Scared Straight program back in TC. My sociology teacher, Miss Wilson, took me there on the Scared Straight program. I know about law. You know what I'm saying? I know about DC. I've been out there. Fairfax Village, Pennsylvania Avenue, Good Hope Road. I used to be out there all the time. So I know about these places. But let me tell you something, bro. It makes me feel good that I know that I made a right decision as a man at the end of the day to follow Jesus because I can communicate with my brothers, you know what I'm saying, in a very respectable manner where we can talk. Because even Bello came in there and, you know I was making a joke out of it. When Bello said that is one of my favorite verses out of the book of Ecclesiastes. There is nothing new under the sun. And if you go back and listen to my podcast, you will hear me mentioning that verse that King Solomon, wisest man that will ever live, always quote that. And it took me years for me to figure out what he meant. When Bello said that, I was making a joke out of it, but he hit me like straight up, you know, I'm like, woo, that man just checked me and he don't even know it. But I was trying to make a light of it because that's what men we do. When our pride gets hit, we have to go into the defense, you know, either we're going to laugh it off or we're going to, cower, But Bello said, that's why I kept mentioning that. So I'm glad, man. That's the only, advice I would give to my younger self. Follow Jesus, man. That man has taught me how to be a man, how to talk to men. All four of us on this phone web, y'all know each other. I've never met Bello, DeUce, or CWD a day in my life. How am I able to communicate with y'all? Because in this, age that we're in, technology has shut down us able to communicate as human beings. But the God that I serve don't care nothing about that technology. I would teach you. What did he tell his disciples? I'll teach you how to be fishers of men. That's why I'm able to have this conversation and nobody's offended. I mean, Bello, do you feel offended?
No. Why would I?
Exactly. CW, do you feel offended?
Absolutely not.
DeUce, do you feel offended?
I feel offended at myself that I just understood what fishers of men learned. I learned that right now today. I just understood that right now.
Oh yeah,
That's what
So
fishers of men means.
trust
I get
me.
it now. Now I get that.
Yeah. What Bello did to me with that, so with that verse that he threw at me, I just pass it on to you. That's what we do.
Punch me in the chest with the word real quick.
Yeah. I mean, he punched me in the chest, so I gotta pass it on to somebody. You know what I'm saying? But that's what we do. We encourage each other, you know what I'm saying, in the word, bro. So it was a great conversation.
You know what it says, right? Iron sharpens iron.
Yes, sir. Iron sharpens iron.
Yep.
He sharpened me, and what did I do? I pass it on to you. Even though I was just talking, I never knew you needed it. And you might say something to CW that he needed, but that's what we do. We pass it on. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate this conversation. And let me tell you something, every single one individually, I know y'all got a testimony, y'all got a story, and we're going to do a show. And y'all going to hear from me. You know what I'm saying? Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Got you. You know we got you.
Yes, sir. And I appreciate it, man. It was a great show, tremendous show. Hopefully y'all enjoyed yourself. And, everything is good, man. Let brotherly love continue.
All day, man. Hey, one love to y'all, man. We must do this again.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Y'all, hey,
absolutely.
Y'all be blessed.
Yep.
Peace.
Yes, sir.
Indeed. Be blessed.
Yes, sir.
Peace and blessings.
Peace.
All right. Holla.